So what we're going to do now is a Weedman slider. Phil Rowley caught his biggest pike on this fly. In the book, it's black and red. Here, I'm going to do a white one with natural deer body hair. But it's a very easy fly to tie. Okay.
What hook is that? Steve?
It's a Mustad 34007. And that is size 1/0. So I do it in a variety of sizes. If I want to have a fly that is not that hard to cast, I'll do the smaller sizes. This fly has taken so many big pike and so many big muskie, it's unbelievable. If you go to my website, which is dark water dubbing, just type in dark water dubbing in Google, go to the videos. You'll see the video that Colin McEwen sent me from the new fly fisher. Every pike that comes up after this fly. This is his favorite topwater fly for pike. And he said that on TV. Phil Rowley uses it. You should see the pike that he catches with it. It's just an awesome little pattern. Once again, when you see this, you're going to say it can't be that easy. I'll say, yes, it can. Now, how I came up with this fly, I'm just going to get some flash here. I was doing a show with Al Carlson called One Last Cast. And he wanted to do a fly fishing muskie show. So he called me and I met him out in Kenora, the Fish Lake of the Woods. So the first day I raised 2 muskie. Now, Stu being so excited about going for muskie on the fly, I forgot my wire at home. 25-pound test does not cut it for a muskie leader. I lost both of them because they bit me off, right? And these 2 muskie were like around the 45-inch mark. So I was really ticked because we didn't get a fish on film. So we go back to his place that night for supper. And I said, do you have any tying material? He goes, yeah, I do. Brings out this wee tiny little box. Black Icelandic sheep, black deer body hair, red deer body hair, and red crystal flash. That was it. So I sit down to tie a fly. I thought, what could I tie? I'll tie a Dahlberg diver. So I put the tail in, spun the deer body hair, and Al goes, we do have to go down deep sometimes to get them. I said, well, that ain't going to work with the Dahlberg diver. I'll cut the collar off. Hence a Weedman slider, right? And it's called a Weedman slider because the guy I was working with at the time, his last name was Weedman, not spelled the way I spelled the fly, but W-E-I-D-E-M-A-N. And he was a real good buddy of mine. So I named the fly after him, but I changed it to W-E-E-D, right? So it says Weedman slider. But like I said, this fly has taken a lot of big pike and some really, really nice muskie. So we're going to start the thread at the back of the hook. And this is Semperfli Nano Silk. I know Gary has some of it at home because I just bought another 2 spools. We're going to tie in the tail. Three or 4 strands of red crystal flash. Now you can use pearl if you want. Like, don't get caught trying to tie the exact same pattern. If you don't have the red, substitute another color. That doesn't matter. Pike and muskie will hit anything. You can use a 3-foot piece of yellow nylon rope and catch big pike and muskie to beat the band. They don't care, right? Experiment and have fun with this stuff. Like a lot of fly tiers get in that little square box that they don't want to get out of. Oh, the pattern calls for this. I need this. I have to go. Like BS, man. Just substitute. That's how flies are invented. Look at the woolly bugger. Do you know why Russell Blessing put marabou in for a tail on a woolly worm? He ran out of red wool. So he tied in some black marabou, hence the woolly bugger. #1 fly in the world. Why? Because he substituted and it worked. It's not hard. It's easy to do. So do it. So we're going to tie this in. Now, when I tie in my crystal flash, I want to lock it in because I don't like my crystal flash being pulled out. So you notice that I have a little bit longer. The ends go up to the eye of the hook. I'll do 2 or 3 wraps, fold it over, wrap over it. Ain't no way in the world that's coming out. None. Guaranteed. So it's going to stay there, right? So Icelandic sheep. I love this stuff. It moves so well in the water, it's unbelievable, right? One tiny little drawback. Make sure you carry one of these with you. Because after you catch a pike, you have to comb it out. Because it tangles. And boy, does it tangle. Carry a little comb with you, comb it out, takes 2 seconds, boom, you're back fishing again. And it's going to move in the water like you wouldn't believe, right? But you do have to comb it out. So I always carry a comb in my front pocket of my waders. Okay. Get out all the end of her. Now, there's times when I keep the end of her because I can do smaller flies with it, right? Or I can put it in the dubbing loop. I'll square this off. And this is going to be my tail. I'm going to tie it in, but watch what I do when I go to tie it in, if you can see it. You see it? Watch the screen. Right? We'll do it again. See it? The hair goes all the way around the hook shank. It's not on top, right? So because he did that, it gives the smaller diameter that you can wrap around. Not only that, but when you put on your deer body hair and you spin it, it'll spin around the smaller diameter. Now, if all this was right on top of the hook shank, it'd be twice that thick. Right? Now, when I spin deer body hair, I had one of the coolest teachers show me a whole, in fact, 2 guys, show me a whole pile of tricks on deer body hair. It was freaking amazing. One was Chris Helm. And I got to know Chris from going to the conclaves. And same with the next gentleman, Don Ordez. 2 of the very best deer body hair workers that I've seen in my whole life. Like their flies were just like, I don't know how they could do such great colors and stacking hair and having everything all line up and everything nice and full and hard. And I'm going, holy crap. Don Ordez does a mouse that looks like a real mouse. And it's amazing how much hair he puts on. He does a clump like this of natural. And then for the belly, because he spins the natural first and he stacks belly on the bottom, he does a clump like that with white. And it stays in place. And I was just like, how do you do that, man? Anyway, so the size of clumps that you use, I use with this thread can be really, really big. One of the best things you can do, anybody here know a taxidermist? Yeah, if you do, ask him if he has any deer body hair scraps from deer mounts, because they do all the trimmings. You will have the best deer body hair that money can buy. It's all very little fluff in there, but it's all uniform. It's all clean, nice and soft, right? The best. Don't get stuck buying a 2-inch by 2-inch piece out of a fly shop when you can get it for nothing, right? I like nothing better than $5. Okay, so we're gonna tie in some deer body here. Now, once again, you can do any color you want. Now, how many guys have ever done that much?
The camera.
Oh, there it is. Can you see that? That's a lot of hair. Now, you're gonna say, how the heck is it gonna spin this? Always, always, always brush it out. Does that gets rid of all the underfur, right? Now, the first clump, once again, I want you to watch what I do, right? Goes on, 2 loose wraps. Oh, did you see that? Whole secret putting on the first clump of deer body. It's what I just did, right? Pull it down tight. You're not going to rotate it. What you're going to do now is you have the thread nice and snug, and you can do this with that nano silk. You're going to wrap it through the hair. Is that going to come off? You do two loose wraps, spin it. One of those wraps comes undone all the time. The hair is not secure. That's why some people have a problem spinning deer body hair. So you're going to brush this back. Right? Get another clump. Gonna comb out all the underfur and the loose fibers. I run it through the big teeth first and then the small teeth. Okay, now once again, you see how big that clump is, right? Now this is, you're gonna actually spin. Right? So you're gonna do 2 loose wraps. You're gonna pull down tight. Once it starts flaring, let go. Right? But what I do at this juncture is I'll go through the hair. That way the hair stays on, it still flares. And now I'm up close to the eye. And you're going to say you're just about done to fly. I will tell you, no, I'm not. Because now you're going to compact the hair. You can use the old Bic pen, the clear plastic on the Bic pen, you know, the 19-cent Bic pen, and I'll take you back years. They got grassy hair packers. That was invented by Chris Helm. You got other different hair packers that you can use. Me, I'm still old fashioned. I jam my thumb quite a few times, so I'm usually pretty careful. But I'm back at half of shank of hole. Right? So that calls for another clump. Once again, 2 loose wraps. Hold on tight, let it flare. And you wrap through the hair. Get another clump. Now, you may think I make this look easy. But you know, I'll tell you this. When I first started tying, I was 10 years old. I read everything I could on fly fishing. I read an article on tying a muddler minnow. Do you know it took me 3 weeks to figure out how to spin deer body hair? And I went through, I don't know how many patches of deer body hair. It was just amazing. And none of it stayed on until I hit what I was doing tonight. And then it stayed on. I was really happy. Because then I could tie deer body hair flies, the minnows especially. So once again, 2 loose wraps, pull down, let it flare. Now, that's right at the eye, right? Am I done? Nope, because I can put another bunch on there. So I'll wrap this in front. Get another clump. I heard that. Okay, so you're going to take the last clump. 1, 2 loose wraps. Pull down tight. Now, the supply done, not quite yet. Because I always put a red throat on them. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the fly upside down. And Stu, being the idiot that was, forgot to bring out his red deer body hair. There we go. So we're going to put a red throat on this. So when you go to stack deer body hair, yeah, this is the way I stack it. I have my base color that goes all the way around the fly. Because I want a red throat, or if you want a red dot on a popper or on top of the fly, you can do this. Get all the fluff out. Gonna put it on your fly. 1, 2 wraps, adjust your hair. Put your finger underneath the eye of the hook, and then just pull straight down as tight as you can. And you have to make some room for the head. Oops. Yeah, even us so-called professionals make mistakes. Now with a nano silk, don't use the tip of your scissors to cut this thread. You'll dull the tips. I always cut right at the back. Yeah. Okay, so now I got the red on. What do I need now? I just have to find the right box. There it is. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to trim this fly. And this pattern is so easy to trim, it's unbelievable. Single edge razor blade. You're going to look at the fly. You're going to line up your razor blade so it's in a straight line with the eye of the hook. And then you're just going to cut. Right. So flip the fly over, cut it flat on top. And all you're going to do is do a little bit more trimming You want the complete top flat.
How far above the hook shank? Okay.
Well, you'll see,
Okay.
right?
Oh, okay.
So you're cutting it flat on the top and on the bottom. Right, so now you got to cut flat on the top and on the bottom. Right, so that's what you look at. Then all you're going to do is triangulate the head. Now, this is not a fancy trim job. Like, the reason I designed it like this, when I first tied it, it's easier to tie. It's not that hard. As you can see, it was only a couple, tie in the tail, spin the deer body hair. That's it, right? Okay. So that is just about finished. Right? Right. So flat on top and bottom, triangulated. Now we're going to make a spot for the eyes. All you do is cut one side. Cut the other side. How hard was that? Nothing in, there's a couple patterns that take a lot of steps, but these don't. And these are very productive flies. Okay, so got my toothpick. Goop, my best friend in the world for gluing on eyes. So we're going to put that on that side. That on that side. I'm just going to stick this in the vise for a sec. I get 2 eyes. These are 4 mil or 6 mil eyes. Got my finger, get the goop back where it should be. I got guys in my home club back in Winnipeg, Manitoba fly fishers. I'd say I'm crazy for doing this with goop, putting my fingers and touching the goop and putting my fingers back in my mouth. I've been doing this for years. If I was going to die, I would have been dead by now. So what I tell people, you can do it this way if you want. I still do it this way. And I'm not dead yet. But you have, when you do these, or when you use goop for eyes, if you have a bowl of water beside you, you can do that too. I'm not saying to do it this way I do it. That's why I've always been doing it. Maybe that's why it affects my brain so much. Yeah.
That's why it was so shady.
You're right. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking some of the goop, putting it over the edge of the eye. Because if you just press the eye on and leave it, that eye is going to fall off. Doesn't matter if these are sticky, doesn't matter if the goop holds it, it will come off after you get a fish. Or come off while casting. If you fold the goop over the eye, some on top, some on bottom, once it dries, the eye is never gonna come off unless the whole head is destroyed. These eyes are there to stay. Right? Now, if you went to my website, Dark Water Dubbing, look under the videos, you'll see this fly and you'll see size pike that come up for it. Every one of those fish has come up for a Weedman slider. That is Colin McEwen's favorite top water fly. And he shows it at the beginning of the show. You see the fly fluttering in the boat. It's orange. It's an orange Weedman slider. He has 24 of these flies that I tied for. Now, these things work so well. The first muskie I raised with the one I tied when I was having supper with Al was the next day. I made this cast. He's moving the boat slow enough for a bait caster, but 10 times too fast for fly fishing. So I'm standing in the boat, make cast to this little white rock that the guy that had the cottage on the island painted it white so he knew where his landing was. Put a cast there. I didn't even make the first strip. My line was pulled back 20 feet behind the boat. That's how fast he was moving the boat. So I'm stripping the fly in. And there's a light patch underneath my fly. Look up in the sky. No, oh, it's still overcast and really dark and really windy and cold. Look down back at the water. And the light patch is still underneath my fly. So I'm still stripping the fly and trying to get it in to pick up for another cast. Then I see a fin flip out. Well, hey, Al, I got one following. He goes, Stu, that fish is going to go over 50 inches. You never seen a more experienced fly fisherman lose his knowledge and everything else in a heartbeat the way I did. I had the fish right beside the boat. My fly was 2 inches under the water. The fish was 3 inches underneath my fly. It's like this big between the eyes. It was massive. I started shaking. I'm talking like this. Ah, what do I do? What do I do? I forgot everything. Biggest fish of my life. I'm standing there. I don't know what to do. I'm standing on the gunnel of his boat. That's how nuts I was. And then, because I didn't do anything, the fish just goes, ooh. I go, Al, it's sinking. Right. I cracked him up so bad because I was talking so fast and excited whispers about this fish, what to do. And like, that is the first time ever in my life I lost it, and guaranteed I lost it. So yes, even though I caught lots of big fish by then, when you see a 50-inch muskie chasing your fly, you lose it big time. Right? There's nothing like it. It's just like, oh crap, that was a big fish. So yeah. So anyway, that's a Weedman slider.
You leave the tail that long?
Yes, sir. Right? And I never get short hits. Ever.
Is it?
Not only from pike, but I've had smallmouth come up and annihilate this fly. And my tail is always the same. Never, ever have I had a short hit.
So it's acting as an attractor when they go for the head.
Yeah. Now, remember, one thing, when you fly fishing pike, one thing you have to remember is a pike will see what it's being offered, no problem whatsoever. Now, remember, when a pike is looking, you see the eyes lined up, right? What happens when he opens his mouth? He can't see anymore. He has to take everything inside its mouth because his eyes are looking up. So that's why they open so wide when they take a topwater bait, because they have to open as wide as they can in order to swallow the whole thing. Because they can't see it. Right? That's why you never get a short hit from that. Because they have to swallow the whole thing. Right. So that's something to keep in mind when you're fishing topwater baits. When the pike comes up to hit it, they can't see it. Right.